So in this episode, what we are going to do is we've got a bunch of, I think, very, very good ideas. So you must stick around. Let me start off by telling you about Lorenzo's idea, my favorite idea. And what he's done is he's really figured out a very clever way of like making the sales pitch that like 5 times more believable and backing it up with evidence. I just love that template. It's a really, really good idea, and you guys can steal it. And on my side, I'm going to be actually talking about how I work on the opening sales pitch and that the process that I use. So enjoy the show, my friends. In today's episode, we are going to study Ring, and in particular, we're going to study this specific product within the Ring product family. So I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the product page. Standard product page. I'm looking at the desktop, so we can see it in high in the whole width. Images on the left. They show nice use cases over here as well. They show how the product can be used, but they do mention this lower on the page as well. There's a prominent call to action over here for calling in, and it's something that I will explore with my concept. They talk about the price point, and then over here they're kind of showing all the different multi-packs and bundles that are available. The one thing that I did notice here, I should mention this because this was something that was a little confusing for me, was that when I kind of looked at this and I picked, I don't remember if it was this one that I picked, but what it does is it actually takes you away from the page to a different URL. And I was actually trying to figure out on this page, how do I go? I want to unselect this, and I didn't realize that actually it's a different URL. So I felt that was a little strange. Then there is a description over here, quantity, standard stuff. There are upsells over here, accessories you can add, and then they actually have lots of video content. I like the fact that this is audio auto playing in the background. It's actually a very cool idea. I've never seen this before. So there is a video play button, but it's also auto playing in the background in a loop, which I think is a really nice way of making that video stand out. Again, standard showing images, explaining what the features are. I really, really like this. And I actually feel like this is something that I would have mentioned upfront, because for me personally, installation is something that I'm thinking like, this goes my doorbell. Like, how does that even work? And, I think this visual did a really good job explaining that. And then they talk about all the use cases. It's a pretty detailed page. There's a lot of good looped video content that explains different features and attributes and how it's working. So people come to the website looking for just the doorbell, but then they actually discover all these different use cases that they have. And then, of course, they're cross-selling what their other products are. And then over here, they're introducing their other models that they have. So you can kind of decide which one is best for you. I personally don't like these kind of interfaces because if the user is on this specific page, my philosophy is that close the damn sale. But maybe they have a reason for, maybe they want to push you from this model to this model, but and obviously it's more expensive, but that's their. So anyway, I don't want to get too much into it, but I think that's the layout of the page. And Lorenzo, if you're ready, I can get started.
Let's get into it. I'm excited to hear your ideas.
Well, let's hope they're good and not garbage, but let's I think it'll be interesting. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of expressing them as problem and solution. So the thing is that my first idea is around copywriting. So what I'm saying over here is that most shoppers only read the opening of anything, really. So the solution is to make it stronger. So if I know that the person will only be reading a little bit, well, I need to make sure that whatever it is that I'm showing them is stronger. So I'll show you what I did. So their opening of the sales pitch, this is their description essentially, is saying, this is our best-selling doorbell, which I like. Then they talk about, what it can do, see, hear, speak with visitors, blah, 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 blah. And I say, great, that's good. How would I have actually made this better? Now, I want to just qualify it before I show this. What I'm showing you is version 1 of my copy. We actually end up making 5 or 6 version improvements. So this is not good copy, but it's what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to say the way my mental model is, how would I make this better? That's it. That's all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about how do I make something perfect. Perfection takes a lot of time, but I'll show you what I did. So what I did was, so here's what I came up with. So one thing that I realized upfront was that we have many different accessories and models available. And the kind of person who will only buy the doorbell I'm trying to think about their philosophy, their psychology. They're the kind of person who just wants one damn thing and that works well. They don't want a whole system. They don't want to connect their windows and they don't want external lighting and all of that. So I was thinking like, you know what? It'd be very effective for me to acknowledge this person and say, we understand the kind of person that you are. So I started off by talking about the other people. It says some people want indoor security, outdoor lighting, and alarm system. This unit does just one thing flawlessly. It lets you see, hear, and speak to visitors from anywhere. So I'm basically kind of telling you that we are like, this is the kind of person who's going to be drawn to this. Then I say it's our best selling doorbell, which is what they already said. And we don't, and so I now want to dramatize this. So I say, and we don't mean best selling like it sells a little more than other units. We mean this model outsells other units by miles. So I'm further dramatizing like this is just a big deal. Then over here, I say, well, how does it, because one of the questions that the buyer might have is like, well, what about other brands? What about other competitors? So I said, how does it compare to competing brands? We let you do your own research. It's very important for me as a copywriter to never make the reader feel like I'm like preventing them from doing something. And I know that they will not do research, but by telling them that they can do research, at least that checkbox is taken care of. We let you do your own research, but here's what our engineering team has to say. Very intentional choice of using the word engineering team, because marketing team we already know is going to talk BS, but the engineering team are engineers. So again, word choices really matter. And then of course I haven't designed this, I haven't done this, but the idea is that when you click on reveal, we will either expand out new content, and what we are effectively going to say is that, something like, we study every single product that's out there, maybe show prototypes of all the product picture of all the products that we've looked at, stuff like that. I'll let you figure out how you want to play with that. But the idea of hiding this behind reveal is because I want to actually involve my reader in the sales pitch. I don't want to just spoon feed everything to them. I want them to click this damn button because it's a signal to me that they're kind of, getting involved. So that was my first idea.
The way I think about that reveal button is like next episode button on Netflix after you have watched one episode, basically.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Perfect. So that was my first idea. The second idea is that people miss details. And so the solution for this is to make those details stand out more and repeat them more often. So I'm going to kind of make a creative guess over here. If you look at the screenshot, you'll notice that the first thing that's available on the top of the page is they're talking about call so-and-so number, and we'll create a custom solution just for you. I have a speculation here. My speculation is that a lot of people that are buying these home security systems, not all of them, but a certain high amount of them are in two categories. Number one is they might be skewing older. So they might actually not be super tech savvy, and they may have a lot of questions. And the other one is that they probably don't have a security system. So they might have a lot of questions about like, shucks, like how difficult is it to install this and stuff like that. So I'm speculating that the company knows something very interesting, which is that if people call in customer service numbers, they actually convert very effectively. Now, I have no idea if this is true or not, but assuming that this is true, then it makes sense that they've placed it over here. But this is a mistake that companies make all the time, which is that just because you've placed a call to action over here does not mean it's a strong call to action. So how would I make this stronger? So I'll show you what I did. So over here, I'm saying it's 6:03 a.m. So I'm actually using my time. I wrote this copy in the morning. So it's actually showing the local system time of the reader. And I'm assuming that they're showing this message only when customer service is available. So, I hope that that's what they're doing. But assuming that's what they're doing, I want to use this copy. It's a little longer, but it says it's 6:05 a.m. and we're working. Here's our promise. Give us 5 minutes. Call this number. We listen to your security question and make a recommendation. You do with that what you want. So basically, I want to get away from this idea about it's a damn sales pitch, right? And so that's my version of making it stronger. I think you can make this 50 times stronger by just looking at it and repeating it and improving it and refining it. But I wanted to kind of get you started on this journey. The next part of this idea is that, okay, one is making the call to action stronger, but the other one is that most people are not going to be reading not this message, but aren't going to be reading this message on the top of the page because they might be just focused on the product image. So they've missed it. So you cannot repeat a call to action just once. You have to, if it's important to you, repeat it 12 times. So what I've done in my concept is lower on the page, I've actually repeated it over here again. So every day our phone support team helps 670 customers make the switch. We can help you. Here's your number. Here's the number. So using a little, I've added this copy over here. And you can repeat it at other locations as well, assuming it's a call to action that is important to you. My third idea
Hold
is
on, hold on,
actually,
hold on. Go back to your copy. I want to add something. So go on the top. Yeah, stop there, stop there. I want to point out something that I really, really like. So what you're doing here is a technique that a lot of like old school direct response copywriters have done, which is basically like when the internet didn't even exist, what they would do is they would actually motivate. The call to action that they would have is call a free recorded message where there was a salesperson, like a voice, a recorded voice. They basically started asking a bunch of automated question to the user that was interested in, whatever the product was. And then the automated message was delivering information, focusing on benefits, features, blah, 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 based on what the user was interested in learning more. So this approach kind of reminds me that because you're basically like telling people to call a recorded message, right? You're not telling people to call and talk to a human.
And this is a very good point over here. So remember, there are two types of people that are seeing this message. There are people that are, it's not like they don't get phone calls. The phone calls they are receiving from people that are seeing this saying, oh yeah, I want to talk to a person. My entire conversion of copywriting approach is focused on dealing with skeptics. And so the skeptic is going to say, I'm going to call this bloody number. I'm going to be on hold forever. They're going to take 30 minutes of my time and they're going to make a damn sales pitch. So I wanted to diffuse all of those points. The first thing is that you don't have to be in hold because we're working right now. The second thing is we're saying, just give us 5 minutes, right? So yeah, so it's, it's exactly that.
And what something I would do is I would actually track what kind of like button people are clicking on their phone. Because I suppose what you had in mind was just, okay, press 1 if you're interested in X. Is that the way you were thinking about it?
No. I was thinking like, I'm hoping that they have a live agent that's going to take the call.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to so I'm showing the system time to let them know that we're working right now. Because sometimes as a consumer, I feel like this is just a template message and I will never call because I'm like, they're not working right now. But that's what I wanted to show.
Cool.
Okay, let's move on to the third idea. So the third idea is actually not anything with copywriting. It's a very simple fix, and they made a mistake because what happens is that on their page they actually have a very damn good video. So when you play this video, what I love about the video, I'm not going to play it, but what I love about it is they're showing a variety of interesting use cases that most people didn't consider, and so I think those use cases are super important. So the mistake that's happening is that at the end of the video, they don't have the right, rel is equal to 0 setting. So what YouTube is doing is it's actually showing them related content related to this topic. The problem is that all of these videos are not their videos, and these are people comparing them with other products. So if you just add this little code, and I've included the article that does it, it's going to show related videos, but it'll show it from your own channel, right? So it's a simple fix. Okay, now I want to just go over 2 other quick things very quickly, Lorenzo. So the third idea or the next idea is that people don't discover your hidden content. So brands have so much incredible, amazing content. Most people don't even see them. So what do? You surface it to them. So I'll give you an example. They have a manual. And in the manual, they actually showed something that I thought was very interesting. They showed they showed the camera field of view and the motion detection field of view. And this was not mentioned in the product page at all. 1% of people would be stupid enough like me to actually download their PDF and see the PDF. Now, I'm going to make a very controversial point here because there's the reason why I included this. I actually ended up rejecting this idea. What I wanted to do in this episode was, I think we focused so much on like, here is what we did, here is what we did. I think what you guys miss out on is all the hundreds of ideas that we reject. And I'll explain to you why I rejected this. I rejected this because while it seemed a lot of ideas, 80% of ideas seem really, really sexy and juicy when you first discover them. And one of the mistakes we make is we fall in love with them and we are convinced that that's what we want to use. And that's a big mistake. You need to rationally, with a cold logic, evaluate ideas. So I thought this was a good idea. And then I thought about all of the other ideas I had. And I thought to myself, if I had to kill 3 ideas, what ideas would I kill? And I had the courage to kill this idea. You need to have the courage to kill ideas that aren't great. It's not that the idea is not good. It's just that it just doesn't fit in light of what else we have. I'm going to show you another idea that I rejected. So the next idea is people aren't fully engaged. So you need to make something more immersive. So I came, and I think Lorenzo will like this idea. So the idea is, look at this. So I added this copy. It says, enter your zip code and we'll show how many people in your city use Ring. So you enter your zip code and it'll show a number like, 4,000 people, whatever. Now,
Nice.
I thought it was like a really sexy idea, but then I thought about, okay, let's think about it. And I actually rejected it. And the reason why I did that was because you have to weigh in the complexity of, does this data exist with the client? Is this accessible? Are there other concerns? And you just, and don't get too married to ideas. I still think it's a very nice conceptual idea, but it's just not practical. So I rejected it. So anyway, those are the 2 rejections I wanted to share.
Love it. Love it. I love this idea of coming up with the ideas you rejected.
Awesome.
Cool. I'm gonna share my screen so we can I can talk about my so as always I have 2 ideas plus a bonus one, which you can discover by downloading it from the comments below. So the first idea, I called it, I'm not techie, will I know how to install it? So there's a few things I want to mention why I came up with this idea. So first of all, let's go into my reviews mining analysis, which as always, I eyeball 40, 50 customer reviews from, actually Ring doesn't have reviews on the website somehow. So I had to use Amazon's product page to grab those reviews. But basically I eyeball a bunch of reviews and then I can categorize them into different buckets of categories. And one of the categories I came up with is the benefits. So a list of benefits that people have mentioned they got from Ring. And the one at the top was easy to install / easy to set up, right? And I thought it was quite interesting that it was the most popular category. And I'm not claiming that 50 reviews is enough to say, oh, everybody, this is the most important one. I'm not saying that, but I thought it was quite interesting. Then the other 2 data points that I looked at was I looked at the Amazon Q&A section on the product page, and I saw a lot of questions around how to install the product, right? Then I went a little bit deeper and I looked at Ahrefs data. Ahrefs is basically like a SEO tool where you type in a keyword and it tells you how many people on a monthly basis search for that keyword. And I started to see kind of like a few keywords around how to install the Ring video doorbell. Particularly, this one had 500 visitors on a monthly basis. And Ahrefs data is not accurate, but the fact that it appeared in that list was quite compelling. They do, as Rishi showed earlier, they do have a section about the setup, but it's actually quite down the page. Look how much I had to scroll in order to get here, right? So I bet that if you set up heat maps on this page using a tool like Hotjar, and you analyze how many people are getting to this section, I would not be surprised if less than 50% of the people reached this point. The other data point I would look at, just to cross-reference a lot of different data points to see how strong this pain point is customer support tickets. I would want to see how many people are reaching out to customer support to ask questions about how to set up the Ring.
I agree.
Now, here's a solution to this doubt, this consistent anxiety around, well, I'm not a techie person. Will I be able to actually install it? So if we analyze the product images, Rishi, we have, first image is the product with the color in color gray. The second image is the same product, but with a more kind of like darker color, I would say, which are like black, which are these two colors, right? So the first thing I thought is like, it's kind of like pointless that if I selected the color black, I'm showing the color gray, right? So what I did here was, let's get rid of the second image, because at the end of the day, you want to see the gray product, not the black one, right? And let's move the rest of the images first, right? So the second image becomes the image of the person that is installing the Ring doorbell next to the door. And what I had here was literally like, I added easy and fast installation. And I put the parenthesis that actually tells you how long the installation takes. And then as soon as the user clicks on the image, there's this video icon and link that appears. And it's interesting. I did this on purpose because if you think about this pattern, the user, when selecting the main image, there's no link, there's no icon. Then when tapping onto that, now I'm showing the icon. And what's happening on the phone of the person that is looking at it is like, oh my God, like now I'm giving more prominence to that thing because it was not in the previous.
And you're giving the prominence conditionally. So it's like situational prominence. I love it.
True,
I love it.
true. Yeah. And then obviously when clicking on it, I would show a quick video on how easy it is, even for a 70-year-old person to install the camera by themselves without help. The second one, I called it, did you know this? So here's the kind of like logic behind it. So in general, when you think about buying something, you're actually buying something with a hope to get some sort of like outcomes or some sort of results. And the question I have here is, how's people's life better thanks to Ring video doorbell? And if we look at my reviews mining document again, people said, oh, I feel safe now, thinking about being far away from home and I can have everything under control in my phone. But the feeling of being safe it's hard to sell the concept to another person of how you I feel safe. It's just a claim, right? It's hard to convince somebody else what it means to feel safer versus less safe you felt before buying the product. This end result focus is missing from the product page. So what I came up with, it's actually a solution where I introduce an outcome focused statistics and proofs. And here's the way I actually did it. Basically, I added a widget that is basically like floating on the phone. And as you can see, I asked the question, did you know this? And there's two reasons why I picked that sentence. First of all, it could fit in that widget without making the widget too big, because I was afraid that it was kind of like cross with the live chat widget. But then I'm also asking a question that is like seeding curiosity into the mind of the person, right? Now what happens is when again, when people scroll down, this widget is always there. It's sticky, so like it's hard not to see it, it's not hard not to click on it, right? And then what happens is when people click on it, there's a modal that appears. And I'm not suggesting this copy is correct, obviously. I'm not a copywriter, but what I'm trying to do here is actually something very specific. So I start by saying, did you know this? So again, headline that kind of like brings in curiosity and try to, and it's almost like I'm doing your job here, Rishi, a little bit.
Yeah, please don't let people know you're copywriting because they will fire me.
And so let me walk you through kind of like the way I structured this pop-up. So first I say, Ring was started in 2017. And in the past 5 years, and now what I'm doing in each bullet point here, I'm basically like talking about a bunch of statistics of the results that rings got for people. So for example, 50, and I completely made up these numbers because obviously
Of course,
I don't have them. But I'm quite convinced Ring has these numbers.
100%.
Yeah. So what I did was I put 56,000 burglars have been avoided thanks to Ring's live motion detection. And I actually here I put a link to examples. And if you look at their YouTube channel, they have an amazing YouTube channel with videos of customers that show something cool or show like how they were able to catch a burglar or a thief and so on. So
Wonderful.
I'm
I love
linking to that video. And then I just read, 2 or 3 of them. The second one is 34,000 stolen packages have been rescued thanks to Ring's motion alert feature. And then I put John's package, for example. And again, this is
John's package actually could be an adult picture actually, because in the US the word package.
No, this is actually a real video on YouTube where there's a person that talks about how
I love it.
And then finally, 23,000 burglars and thieves have been caught by one of our Ring's cameras. They've been arrested and are now behind bars. And a bunch of other kind of like stats and so on. So what I'm doing here, again, I'm showing the results the Rings got to a lot of people.
I absolutely love this. Genius, wonderful, brilliant.
Thank you. I have another one, which is like a bonus one. I called it Help Me Choose. And if you subscribe to the newsletter below, you can take a look at that bonus opportunity.
Awesome. This has been really good. I loved your second idea. Really good. Really good. And I mean, it's so powerful because again, people are buying this because they want peace of mind. If you can demonstrate statistics that address that, it's so powerful. I love it. Wonderful. We will see you guys on another episode. Lorenzo, great job today.
Thank you guys. Ciao.
Ciao.